This is the third movie in the Venom franchise and the fifth movie in Sony's Spider-Man universe. These are movies, of course, as we said before, that exist in the same universe as Tom Holland's Spider-Man movies, but don't feature Spider-Man. Morbius, Madam Web, Venom, soon Kraven the Hunter. Venom: The Last Dance is written and directed by Kelly Marcel, who was a person I wasn't really familiar with, but I was really excited to kind of find out about Kelly Marcel while I was researching Venom. Kelly wrote the previous two Venoms, but this one she wrote and directed, and this is her directorial debut, first movie she's ever directed. She has been friends with...
It's insane.
It's crazy, right?
Like,
and here's how this happened. I'm going to tell you a nice little story.
Okay,
Joe.
great.
Are you ready for a pleasant story? A really lovely little story?
I'd love that.
So... because I was looking at, I kind of like followed the breadcrumb on this because Marcel, some of her other credits are she did uncredited script work on Bronson, Tom Hardy's breakout movie, and Mad Max Fury Road, his like real breakout movie, Hollywood breakout movie. And so I was like, oh, so she's like an uncredited script work. So I was like, oh, so she's like Hardy, like she's pals with Hardy. Sure enough, they met back before he made Bronson. Before nobody knew who Tom Hardy was, they met at a pub in Battersea, which is in South London, because Hardy was doing an acting workshop at this pub in Battersea. She worked down the street at a video rental store.
You're kidding.
She came to this pub and was there. It was unclear if she was there for the acting workshop or was just there to get a drink after work, and Hardy's in the back like talking fucking crap.
Doing some funny voices.
Yeah, exactly. But they like hit off and became friends. And then she has been like again sort of doing punch ups on scripts that he's been in. And then she has been writing the Venom movies and now got to direct a freaking massive studio tentpole movie.
It's my favorite story.
Loyalty, baby, freaking loyalty.
It's my favorite story.
And I'm about to make it even better. Guess who? This is maybe the best Nepo baby connection I've ever. Guess who her dad is?
Oh.
Terry Marcel, the director of one of my favorite sword and sorcery movies, Hawk the Slayer, baby. Her dad
I love Hawk the
directed
Slayer.
Hawk the Slayer. Isn't that fucking awesome? Yes, Kelly Marcel. We love. Now, in addition to Tom Hardy, this movie stars Juno Temple, and this movie I mean Venom: The Last
Juno
Dance.
Temple's older now.
And fantastic. Yeah, she's great.
No,
She's great.
I just like
yeah.
last time I saw Juno Temple, she was younger. Like I missed the season of Fargo or something.
You didn't watch? Okay,
So because I was like, oh, Juno Temple's older now.
that's
not
the,
old.
That's the missing link. Is she's amazing in that new season of Fargo.
That's what I've heard. I
Yes.
didn't watch.
Yeah. So I was like, and almost like it's like coming off of that, like I just watched Fargo and I was like, here we go,
I haven't
another
seen
great
her
Juno
since
Temple
like
performance.
Kaboom, like the Gregor
Got
Aki
it.
movie. I'm like, oh, it's 20 years have passed.
Okay, yes. Oh my God, it's because she was a child actor. She was like a young actor. Yes, that's right.
I'm sure I've seen
And
that
she was
stuff,
in Notes on a Scandal. She's the daughter. She's like the young daughter in
No,
Notes on a Scandal.
that's what
Okay, I see what you're saying.
It took
I
me
see
like
what
two
you're saying.
scenes to be like,
yes.
I think that's Juno Temple.
Yes.
Like she's an adult now. Huh.
Chiwetel Ejiofor, Rhys Ifans, just some great British character actors here.
Definitely.
Stephen Graham.
Yeah, Stephen Graham giving so much in Venom where I was like, Stephen, you're too good to like care this much. Like cut it back by 15%.
My man never phones it in. My man
No, I know.
never
He was
phones it
giving
in.
so much that it was like almost embarrassing. Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
He's trying, like, it's his job in the movie is to show us how scary having a Venom inside you could be, right? So he's really like, I got a Venom stuck inside me, and it really hurts.
But he also has
a lot of
he's
like doing a lot.
And his Venom is sort of a little more like poetic, and
He's got like
philosophical.
but like at first his Venom is hurting him
aggressive
inside
and
of him
angry.
or whatever.
Yes.
And Steven is like really acting.
No, he's
It's
really going for it.
tough.
I can't say a bad word about Stephen Graham, but I know what you mean.
Thanks.
We also have Peggy Lou, who I think is the only person besides Tom Hardy to be in all three Venoms. She plays Mrs. Chan.
Of course, you gotta have Mrs. Chan in a
Mrs.
Venom
Chan,
movie,
this Mrs. Chan cameo is fantastic in this one. The director of photography is Fabian Wagner, who's mostly worked in TV, Sherlock, but like TV, Sherlock,
Nice.
Game of Thrones, right? That's some
Okay.
good stuff.
Very good.
Venom: The Last Dance follows Eddie Brock, Tom Hardy, and the the symbiote Venom as they go on the run after being framed for the murder of police detective Patrick Mulligan. That's Stephen Graham. They have to get from Mexico to New York for plot reasons. It's a road movie, and their journey coincides with a bunch of crazy intergalactic fate of the universe stuff, and it all climaxes at Area 55, which, as we find out, is the real secret military base several hundred feet underground beneath Area 51, which was nothing this whole time and is being decommissioned due to inactivity. You mind if I give my take on Venom: The Last Dance?
I don't mind at all.
First of all, the franchise as a whole, I have really, really enjoyed the Venom franchise. I'm sad to see it come to an end because it has been this bizarre breath of fresh air in the comic book extended universe, multiverse landscape. Because I think I was trying to figure out what is its appeal. Obviously, it's sort of like kooky, silly. Tom Hardy's doing the voice. What I really have liked about it is its kind of lack of like strategy. You know, so much of these comic book movies seem to like they've gone through so many rounds of producer notes. They're part of Kevin Feige's big master plan, and it's plugged into this big release schedule. It's going to be a Comic-Con. Venom has been refreshing because it sort of doesn't give a fuck. It kind of feels like, and I know it's not actually true. There's a lot riding on this movie for Sony in terms of their kind of extended universe Spider-Man stuff, but it doesn't feel that way. It's like it's not a movie that's trying to, you know, or this franchise hasn't been trying to like bludgeon you into submission or manipulate your nerddom for financial domination. It's allowed Tom Hardy and Woody Harrelson and even Michelle Williams in that first one to give these kind of weird gonzo performances. And it's also actually funny. I'm so, you know, I mean, in a landscape of comic book movies trying to be funny.
It's true.
Trying to
Venom
be funny.
is funny.
This movie is funny
like
because it relies on like just old school silliness, like funny voice.
He's cute.
Fun.
Like, Venom's like silly.
I'm sorry, but funny voice is going to be 10 times funnier than your Parks and Rec spec script every single time.
Not mine.
Every single time. I just mean quippy, try hard comedy.
I'm kidding. I don't have a Parks and Rec
is
spec.
always going to. He does. I've seen it. It's always good. It's actually good. 3 main characters die in it. It's kind of shocking.
That is not true, folks. That is a lie.
I've just loved Venom's silly, not obnoxious, just old school, just, you know, belly laugh freaking comedy. Do the silly voice, do the Venom voice. Really, it almost so much of the appeal of this franchise just comes down to Tom Hardy's Venom voice.
Single-handedly.
Eddie!
It's just like the joke of like, he says something and then Venom like sets him straight. But he shouldn't have.
I never get tired of it.
Every
it's
time.
so funny.
Yeah,
it's just so funny
it's a
hearing that
classic.
voice. Now, Venom: The Last Dance was more of a mixed bag for me than the previous two, and it's really it's a great example of things that I love in comic book movies and things that I hate in comic book movies. And I'll start with the bad because most of the bad stuff for me happened in the first, you know, hour of the movie. That to me, I thought it picked up in the second half, but the first half of Venom 3 was rough and had a lot of red flags, and I was like, ugh.
Like what?
This franchise is, they lost it. So I thought it leaned too much into Deadpool and Wolverine kind of meta in jokes.
Yes.
There was mentions of like, I'm so sick of this multiverse nonsense. There was basically like,
Yeah.
there was lines where I was like, just look at the camera. This is basically a look at camera line. Just look at the fucking camera, you cowards. If you're going to do look at camera lines, just look at the fucking camera. But better yet, don't do the lines at all. Just do the funny voice. Like, it's not broke. Don't, what are you trying to fix? It's not broke. Just do the fucking Venom stuff. But it felt like it was trying to be more Deadpool and Wolverine-y, which was not great. There was just more. There's more just like impenetrable lore around symbiotes and xenophages and the all this different stuff, and I was like, I had this feeling so much with comic book movies where I was like, guys, you didn't these are MacGuffins. But movies have been doing this forever. Like movies since Hitchcock, before Hitchcock. There's always like the only thing we need to know about the hard drive is that it's what the bad guy and the good guy are trying to get. We don't need to know the fucking like specs of the hard drive and who made it and where it came from and all this stuff. And so much of these comic book movies think that the MacGuffin is supposed to be the point of the movie. And it's like, no, the MacGuffin is just like whatever.
I feel like Venom: The Last Dance, though, like it really like the specifics. Like it really like words over the part where it was like, go get the magic ball. Like I heard them saying words. I heard comic book words. I just turned my brain off essentially and was like, they're going to have to find the ball and the ball's going to turn them into Venoms or something.
Well, this was the mixed bag of the movie was that like, I would have loved just like like barely any of that at all, much less.
I agree with you.
But B, like,
I agree with you.
That's why I like the second half of the movie.
They kind of give up
like,
on
they
it.
give up on it.
Yeah,
They
do.
give up on
Yeah.
it, and they just lean into Venom stuff.
Right.
But for the first half of the movie, there was a lot of these red flags where I was like, oh no, Venom is just becoming just another comic book movie. And there also is a lot of like stuff that is clearly. The other thing that really bugs me about comic book movies is when it's just a farm for IP for other movies, where it's like they're doing things that don't serve this movie, but that serve this big master plan to create other movies. And the biggest example of that was this, like, I didn't know it was Andy Serkis either until I looked it up. This mysterious, cool-looking villain Krull, who's basically like we said, Thanos. Like, he's on some other planet. He looks super like metal and like cool. They don't do anything with this character. They introduce it as though it's going to be some sort of like super villain. And then it was like, remember when Marvel like briefly introduced Thanos but didn't really do anything with them, like just sort of tease. It's like that, where it's like, ugh, I hate, it feels manipulative. I hate being in a movie where it's like, this character isn't for this movie. This character is for 2 movies down the road. I just fucking hate that shit. Make the movie you're making, and then next week you can make next week's movie. And there was just a lot of clunky plotting throughout the first half of the movie. But it hit a really nice stretch in the second half of the movie, and for like a solid hour, I was just riding high on like pure Venom adrenaline, and I was having a lot of fun because it got back. It found the weird heart of the franchise, and it starts around the appearance of a character I did not think I was going to like at first, which is Rhys Ifans' like alien-obsessed dad who takes his entire family on this like vacation to see Area 51 before it gets like blown up out in the desert. I did not think I was going to like this character at first because it's a very generic character that seems pulled straight out of like Independence Day, etc. This sort of alien-obsessed, like, you know, paranoid guy, conspiracy theory guy. But some point around that like Space Oddity sing-along in the RV, some spell took over me, and the movie started to get like simultaneously like it started to find its heart, and it started to really find the comedy of Venom again, and it just got sort of like elegiac and sort of like moody. Like there's that scene at the end of that sing-along where Tom Hardy's like looking out the window of the van and they're going through the desert, and then they get into Vegas. They pull into Vegas like late at night, and like Rhys Ifans says something like America's great city of second chances, or I don't know. There was just suddenly like everything was working out of nowhere. Like all the lines were working, the like road trip thing was working, Rhys Ifans' weird family was working, and there's that part late at night where only Tom Hardy and Rhys Ifans are awake, and Rhys Ifans is talking about like portals and what's out there in the universe, and he's essentially doing that like Hamlet speech about like there's more things in heaven and earth that are dreamed of in your philosophy. He's doing that sort of thing, and Tom Hardy's like, I know, I got one like in my head right now. But there was just like a spell that like overtook me, and I was like, okay, I'm fucking on board now. And then just hit this like incredible like light speed streak in that Vegas sequence when they go to Las Vegas, where I was really having fun. That sequence where like Tom Hardy in the stolen tux is like walking in the casino, and we get like movie star Tom Hardy for a second, and then like that fucking dancing queen sequence with Venom and Mrs. Chen up in the penthouse. That's like 10 minutes of just pure cinema with none of the fucking IP shit, none of the fucking nerd culture shit, none of the fucking Easter egg shit, just like pure cinema based on the Venom character and Tom Hardy's charisma. I was loving it. I was living for it. And that to me is how you do a comic book movie, is building towards, have your MacGuffins, of course, for plot architecture, but build towards universal themes, not niche Easter egg themes. Build towards universal pleasures, not fucking Comic-Con trailer pleasures. I love that whole like he meets up with Rhys Ifans and they go to Vegas. That part of the movie really, really worked for me. But overall, though, it felt like a movie that was kind of at war with itself. That there was this increased reliance on,
much like Venom and Eddie.
There was, on the one hand, this increased reliance on comic book nerddom that seemed like an obvious ploy to mine this final Venom installment for as much extended universe IP as they can get. It felt like Sony was saying, okay, there's one last Venom, so the point of this movie is to create 3 other movies. Whereas Tom Hardy and Kelly Marcel clearly developed a real affection for this character and this material, and you could see them trying to do sort of a love letter to Venom and Eddie in the middle of Sony trying to like mine it for IP. And so it really felt like a movie that was sort of from scene to scene was serving two masters. And whenever Tom Hardy and Kelly Marcel were in the driver's seat, I was having a lot of fun. Whenever Sony was in the driver's seat, I was having a little less fun. And unfortunately, much like Eddie Brock and Venom, I think Tom Hardy and Kelly Marcel are fighting against an insurmountable force here. And at best, could only manage a noble defeat. But when it works, like I said, I think Venom is the best comic book movie franchise in recent memory, and it worked enough in Venom 3 that I would recommend that you see it.
Oh, I would not recommend that you see Venom 3 in the movie theaters. I'd recommend you see something else in the movie theaters this weekend. Venom 3 you can catch late at night on Max or whatever one day. I found Venom 3 to be a little disappointing. It's has really fun bits and parts because at its core there's a lot of love in the Eddie and Venom characters. Like Brett was saying, there really is like a big heart there and the characters are really fun and funny. I was just a little disappointed during the movie. I thought it was a little boring and clunky and stupid and I wanted it to end. And at the end it did my least favorite thing, which is like this happens like in Iron Man 3 famously in my brain, where it's like now everyone's an Iron Man. There's like 12 Iron Men and they're all different colors. And it's like, what? This happened in, sorry, spoiler for bullshit movie Venom 3. Venom 3 at the end, it's like, oh, everyone's a Venom. It's like, I fucking care. I want to go home. But I really love Eddie and Venom. And I love Tom Hardy just for being a weirdo. And I like his fame because we need big weirdos. What a weird big swing for a fucking main character of a trilogy for Sony, for Spider-Man franchise, Venom. Really funny choice. Big fan of the franchise. Love the story you told me about Kelly and Tom's relationship.
I can't wait to see what they do next.
And I think Last Dance.
Tom and Kelly, I'm on board with.
Last Dance, me too. Last Dance has like plenty of fun fits and starts. I thought about being charmed by the hippie family a couple times, but ultimately it didn't. Just soggy.
I didn't think I was going to be Joe. It snuck up on me.
I understand.
Snuck up on me.
I understand. It's not like they were horrible.
Yeah.
A lot of good people in the movie. A lot of like love there. Just it kind of unnecessary.
I hear you.
Kind of unnecessary.
I hear you.
But like done. I like the character Venom. I like the character Eddie.